beginning of the time, and with those things, those parameters in place, so. Okay.
Hi, Renee Spade, 1979 Yarrow Road. Seems like it's a popular road tonight. Anyway, I don't really think this has to do with property. It has to do with their hatred for you. And I'm sorry to say that. That's my opinion, and that's all I'm going to say for that. I do believe whoever disrespected his service in the Army needs to apologize, because you insulted Hank and you insulted Dennis at the same time. I'm glad of your service. Thank you so much. I was a commissioner for 12 years. I was the one who asked Trace to be chairman because he's smart. I've never seen a guy do a budget like he does, and he makes solid decisions. If anybody has a problem with that, then it's your problem. I don't think you should be insulting commissioners' wives. I've heard that. I don't think you should be calling old commissioners, like myself, or stopping at my house, because it's ridiculous. It has nothing to do with land. I'm sorry, I see it, I saw it at election day, and by the way, thank you people who have been complaining, because I lost my majority inspector. She resigned because of how she was treated by the group behind me. So, what else I have to say? The farm does not need to be saved. It's saved. The farm's there, the land's there. I don't understand what the problem was. Yes, I voted for that. I voted for that to be on that land. It's a perfect spot. The police can get right on Route 100, and it's fantastic. You put it in a development or whatever you're talking about, you're gonna have your time spent going through the development to get to things. So I think that's ridiculous. And if you have a problem, where was the solution all this time? I knew about this for years. Actually, one of the ex-commissioners, I gave him the plans of the building and showed him where it was. But he's one of the people that are complaining the most. He has the plans at his house because I shared it with him. I think if you have a problem, you need to have a solution and not put it. You are the committee. The commissioners are the committee. We do vote you in to make decisions. Dave, you're the one that found the property, which was fantastic. And you showed it to me.
I don't disagree with that.
So I'm really confused as to how 1.5, let's say, acres is a problem. Because you can absolutely tear down the building over 100. Oh, fine. But I'm saying Trace is a great chairman. It's not about the land, it's about the hate.
Greg Dell, 2164 East Horseshoe Drive. Thank you for the opportunity to make the comments. I've heard obnoxious and insulting comments after comment at these meetings and felt it's time for me to comment myself. The township has grown its facilities, outgrown its facilities. The big question is how and where to expand. Quite obvious, smaller farm is a hot issue, and the letters circulated are not inclusive of all the facts. Why would we want to spend several $100,000 for private land when we have 325 plus acres of dedicated, and I stress, not protected, open space? A 1.2 acre plot of a 36 plus acre of smaller farm is minuscule and already owned by the township. It's free. You can't steal something you already own. Additionally, addressing the offer by the developer in litigation offering a plot of land for the township to approve the development expansions sounds like a bribe to me. Wow. For those commissioners and group of backers in support of this, you might as well take your signs, white ribbons, and stick them. And of course, I mean in your desk or your closet. You just legitimized any arguments you have on open space. 263 new houses for 1.2 acres of 30 plus open space plot. To the opposing commissioners, get serious. Your decision should be what is best for the township and not a small group of former and current elected officials and small group of backers trying to reestablish their influence of the board. Kathy and Dave, you have come out with letters, not necessarily directed at the open space issue, but attacking Trace for his style of board leadership. I have read and heard at these meetings an array of accusations, artificial power, whatever that is, dictator, and many other obnoxious comments, and yes, someone even insulting Trace's military career. That's an asinine statement, excuse my language. In further support of this, one of the loudest offering some of these comments, Herb Miller, actually made a motion as commissioner in 2010 that was seconded and passed to allow the cell tower to be constructed on this same Smola Farm plot. No issue then. What is the difference now? Nothing, except now the present issue is being used as a platform to attract Trace. I didn't hear anyone chirping when the township was in dire financial trouble, threat of the state stepping in and financial reasons and put on solid.
If you could try and wrap it up.
Okay, can I respectfully request another?
No.
Just wrap up that thought you're at, so.
Okay. Kathy and Dave, put your bruised toes and hurt feelings aside. Stop avoiding the hard questions and get this issue resolved in a manner best for the township. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I just want to take a minute here to thank everyone up here.
Name and address, sir.
Oh, I apologize. Mark Mullen, 1443 Meadowview Drive, Turnberry Farm neighborhood. My family and I have been residents there for 23 years. I just want to take a moment to thank each one of you for the work that you do, the sacrifices that you make, and also your families, because you spend a lot of time, and that's time away from your family. So I want to thank your spouses, as well as your children that support you in your work. So I want to get that out. I also want to thank the commissioners for the work that you did on the budget. This township was in dire straits financially, and I want to thank you for the work you did there. I think that's underappreciated by most of the public. To be in debt, you're like a slave, and thank you for freeing us from that bondage. I also expect each one of you to not agree on everything, and obviously that's the case that we've had here for the last, 6 or 7 meetings that I've been to. You agree on most things, but this has caused a lot of angst, and that's okay, as long as it's done with respect and civility. So I want to encourage you to regain that. I think you've lost a little bit of that. No personal attacks, please. Each one of you deserve to be treated with respect and civility by each other, because sometimes that's all you have, because you can't please all the people all the time. And I'm not going to agree with you all the time, but I want to encourage you to make the right decisions, do your proper due diligence. We really do need a new township building, and I encourage you to accomplish that and to do it the right way, and thank you.
Kyle Laverty from 168 Margaret Mill Road. I think you had just said something about the acreages you guys are requesting for the building. I think you said 1.5.
I was being high, I think it's 1.2.
1.2, 1.6. You're asking for a building, which is a parking lot, a building, a room bigger than this, obviously, because there's people standing, but you had made the comment, I think last meeting I attended, that you needed 1.5, so let's call it 3.
Yes, I just said that.
Now, you keep calling this a complex. Is it a building or is it a complex?
That's a question. Oh, it's a complex building. Really don't take questions, but it's a complex.
Okay, so
They ask you, they don't answer.
you basically started the conversation at 1.5. Then you said, let's call it 3. But we can't put a building in the middle of a soybean field, we need landscaping. Let's call it 6. Is there an end to it? I mean, a building's a building, 1.5, call it 3. That's something I could get with. To call it 6, and to keep calling it a complex is buildings, not one building. And I can see if you're looking to move this township building and the fire station upstairs somewhere, because this building is pretty hurt. But you know, everybody's fighting over open space and this, that, and the other. When we have pieces of property on this, in this township, that are landlocked, unused, going nowhere. I wanna make a suggestion that the Fox Hill Trail Head Park, which is, I think, 5 acres. I don't know if any of you know what property I'm talking about, I know some of you do. Why couldn't we turn that into a complex? And that's what you're asking for, you're asking for 1.5, let's call it 3, let's call it 6. So let's meet somewhere in the middle of 4.5 or 5. And put the buildings up there. That piece of land goes nowhere. You don't have an easement to connect to any trails, which is a separate conversation for another day. But you all are fighting a resident of this township and threatening the residents of this township over an easement, a piece of land that goes nowhere. So why not, you know, do justice to the people here and just call that a landlocked piece of property that's going nowhere, so build on it. Everybody wants this 20-some acre piece of land, which could be used for future development, I guess, I don't know what to tell you about that, but
It's 3 minutes.
you know what I mean? Everybody's fighting amongst each other, you guys just wasted 45 minutes talking about this, that, and the other about a committee. That got nowhere.
All right, Mr. Lowry, thank you.
I'll address your comments and then my public comments, quick answers here.
Good evening, everybody. Tyrone Robinson, 1488 Heather Place. I think the problem might be communication. And personally, before any development or talking about taking open space or using open space that the public paid for, it should be discussed first with the public first. Now, I understand that a letter went out 2 years ago, talking about we're gonna build on this open space. And it seems like a lot of the public just, it got erased some kind of way. And I think that's why we're having the conflict that we're having now. So I think if the lines of communication, you know, we put it on our website or whatever, it would cut down on the miscommunication that we're having now. You know, we're fighting one another in court. That's township money, that's going to waste. So if we can come to agreement and decide what moves we wanna make before anything starts going into motion, you make the public aware of what's happening before any decisions are made. And let the public have input on what's gonna happen in the future. And like I said earlier, the board works for the public. So keep the public informed of what's going on and when it's going on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rich Comer, 1303 Farmington Avenue. I was just kind of curious how many lawsuits we're in, maybe 6, 7. Out of all the years, I think this is the highest this township has ever been in lawsuits. We need to settle these lawsuits. This great job that Trace did with some of the sewer and finances and everything else that everybody says, we're gonna burn through the money very quickly. And it's gonna go very quickly. The township building's gonna be what? Probably 15 million by the time you get done.
Jim Kapinski, 1958 Yarnell Road. I'm here not to be defensive. I'm here whenever I make comments to this board to help our township. I could have filed formal complaints regarding the sunshine law? No, I didn't do that. I came here to inform you that you were violating it regarding questions. If you Google Township Upper Pottsgrove, you will come up with this document online, which is the Upper Pottsgrove Journal. To me, it appears to be an official township document. It was created by Trace, Hank, and Don, and that's the very first page. But when I start going through it, it appeared to be an election campaign document. There's a letter from Chris Mullen with 3 of the commissioners and Renee supporting him. The letter says, I'm running for Republican nomination. When I read this and think that it's an official township document, I think that all the township commissioners support. The next one is hypocrisy of Peretti, which is Kathy. This journal is calling Kathy a hypocrite because she changed her mind. Has anybody gotten divorced or know somebody that got divorced? Everybody swears to each other their love, you know, and their support, and 4 years later, things change, and they get divorced. No different here. Kathy had changed her mind, supporting some of the commissioners' comments, but she's called a hypocrite for doing that. I've been voting for over 50 years, and I voted for some lemons that I would never vote for again. I don't consider myself a hypocrite. And if you got divorced, I don't think you consider yourself a hypocrite. This journal also talks about Kathy and Dave wanting to settle with developers, to negotiate with developers, and especially criticizing them for doing that. I come to the last meeting and I hear, oh, we're gonna be talking to a developer that maybe we can get some land to build our new complex. So at one time you're criticizing, and next thing you're gonna negotiate. I then pulled up our website, and at the very bottom of the page is Township of Upper Pottsgrove, and it's copyrighted. My question is, the Upper Pottsgrove Journal, is that a violation of the copyright? And the very next page talks about copyright. And can I form a journal and call it Dishel Bartle Dooley Journal and start criticizing Eric? I think Eric would have me in court tomorrow.
That's 3 minutes.
Okay. My question is, and I know you're not gonna answer it, is this an official township document? And if it isn't, the name should be changed. I'm not saying you don't have a First Amendment right to do it, but it should be called Trace Don Hanks Journal, not the Upper Pottsgrove Journal. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Richard Williams. I live on the corner of Continental and Orlando, and it is not a land issue. It is definitely not a land issue. Declaration of Independence and Constitution. I dropped one of these off to Linda at the Township Building to get into your boxes. I hope you got them. I'm gonna read a couple, I have a whole bunch of things here, I'm gonna do a couple. The Constitution. This Constitution and laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made, or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land. Right under that is members of the several state legislatures and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and the several states, are bound by oath or affirmation to support the Constitution. Let's see, the third one. This is in Article 4, Section 4. The United States shall guarantee to every state in the Union a Republican form of government. A Republican form of government. A Republican form of government, this is not in here, but it's a definition, is a government wherein the administration of the affairs is open to the entire citizenry. What we have here is an oligarchy. Definition of an oligarchy. a form of government wherein the administration of the affairs is lies in the hands of a few persons. That's what this board has turned into, believe it or not, and I don't know if you guys realize what you're doing here. You've taken us out of the equation. We the people have no say in here. I hope you all got them, and I hope you read them. If anyone wants one, I'll have them outside on the way out.
Anything else?
Dennis Elliott, 576 Evans Road, apologize for my voice. I've had some few tough weeks. There was a lot of discussion going on about being allowed to be on the committee. Mr. Chairman, during your first tour of duty when we had a planning commission and Elwood Taylor served on the planning commission and as board chairman of the board of commissioners. So when it came to dissolving the planning commission, we had a hearing here, Mr. Garner and Mr. Taylor had his own representation and other people testified on his behalf and against his behalf. And it was determined at that time that a commissioner could not serve on any other committee but the one that he was elected to. And that's my comment.
Other commissioner comments? Anybody have a comment?
I guess it seems to everyone here that we've been arguing over nothing for the past 45 minutes about this resolution. But you have to understand something from our point of view. Certain promises were made, promises not kept, whatever. And this is such a hotbed topic for everyone that Dave and I just don't want to be boxed into a corner. We never said that we wanted to be voting members. We didn't know exactly how we felt about doing a committee after everything that happened. But we want to take this on. We're not shirking any responsibility. We want to be more open with the public from this moment on, as open as we can be. Certain things, of course, people know we can't discuss until we have more information. That's all we wanted to do. Dave and I don't want to vote. We want to be the people who get the information to everyone. I'm not sure it was wasted time. I mean, you could see there is a division, and it's all because Dave and I voted no for Resolution 749. And the reason was we didn't have a public meeting. If the public would have accepted that spot, it would have been over with for me. It was done. It was what the public wanted. But the opposition came a few months after that resolution dropped. There was nothing else Dave and I could do. The process played its way out. They voted yes to build there, and so that's how it continued until the public spoke up. And I get it. Dave and I are left out of a lot of things now. We disbanded the planning commission, which we desperately need. If you see all the lists that's coming, all the development that wants to come in, we need a better structure here. This isn't a well-functioning government. I don't feel that way. I feel it's dysfunctional. All we want is for things to be open and honest, as open as they can. So that's my comment, and I'm sorry some of you are offended by what we're doing. We're only trying to do the right thing. I promise you, we're only trying to do the right thing.
Thank you. I told some of you mentioned, I briefly responded. Since day one of this, I've always said this is a 3-acre facility. I saw the original plans. It was about 1.5 acres, actually. The area of disturbance, which is what engineers use as far as your building, and that includes the long sewer line that we gotta run, is about 1.6 acres, it could be 1.8. So I've always said 3 buffer zones are important. So, and I said that since day one, it's actually in the public record. I had other comments, I'm going to reserve those for another time. But Kathy, you just did say something very interesting about we are not a well-functioning government. And one comment I'd like to make is, what return are we giving our taxpayers for the $2.1 million they give us every year out of their real estate taxes and earned income tax? We take money out of their paychecks to run this operation. On day one, Trace explained to me we have two primary tasks: public safety for the residents and to keep the roads open. I think that we have performed on that to some degree, although every time I drive on Moyer Road and go through the S-turn, I'm wondering who thought this was a good idea. But, you know, we're working on it. I think we have performed on that, and I think that has functioned not bad, pretty good actually. The board over the past 5 years, and I want to stress over the past 5 years, not just 1.5 years I've been here, what have they returned to the taxpayers? And I believe one comment was, you know, we have reduced our debt to 0. Okay, we got our pension funds properly funded, and I think I said it last month and I was not clear. If we did not get those pension funds balanced, the state comes in and they have an unlimited amount of revenue, and that is your taxes, to fund those. We refreshed our public works department, and I think that's an understatement. We refreshed our public works department. I think that's working extremely well. And as another person had commented, we were in dire financial position 5 years ago. And now
Can we get order in here, please?
And now we're in a very good financial position. You know, this township was recently honored on the Senate floor in Harrisburg for items that these commissioners did, and mostly the 3 commissioners. So,
Can we have quiet, please, or leave? There was a plan before, as I was being recruited to run, what the problems were, and we have knocked them down. So, in that saying, we have got one more problem to knock down, is this infrastructure. So, I think we just gotta get it done, and whatever we have to do to get there, we're fine. And people are the most rudest people in the world out there, I'll tell you what. Screw them. Oh, I'm sorry. That's to start with Dave.
Thanks for you, the folks that are actually staying, very polite of you and nice. I think what we need to remember for our group here is, again, we have a representative form of government, and we have commissioners that are elected to represent almost 6,000 members of this township, and all of them can't come to these meetings, and we have to just determine what's the best from where we stand and analysis we do, and go forward from there. And it's just not the meeting of the commissioners and whoever decides to show up, and that's who makes the decision in this township. So going forward, we're gonna take a look at this committee we set up, see how that's gonna function, and move forward from there. We can't go backwards. We do have a site that's selected. It'd be interesting to see what the committee comes up with and see if it's better than the site we have. So that said, we're gonna go ahead and move into executive session. Eric, is there anything in executive session we have action on?
No action items.
No action items. Okay, thank you very much, folks.